Edward Christopher Sheeran, MBE, member of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. Yes, that is really his title. That's actually a real title. Is a singer-songwriter whose song A-Team propelled him to fame. He was born 30 years ago in West Yorkshire, England, and he looks funny in those glasses. Hey there. First of all, I'm Lance Lear. Hey. I forgot to introduce myself when I filmed the video, so now I'm doing it here. Hey, if you are watching this video, you should subscribe or like it or comment or all three probably. Okay, that's it. Let's do the video now. There's something about Ed Sheeran's vibes. I don't know if it's like his clothing or the way that he does his hair, but he always looks like he doesn't belong where he is. He's just like a kid who's like wandered into the red carpet area. Wonder if he's ever like gotten stopped by security and they're like, "Excuse me, sir, you can't pass." And he's like, "Oh no, actually I'm Ed Sheeran. I'm a famous musician. Have you heard my song A-Team?" And they're like,
"No."
He looks like if you took someone from 2004 and transported them in a time machine to 2021 and just sort of let him wander around. You just like see where he's going. Like, what's Ed gonna do next? I don't know. Let's watch. Let's find out. He looks like the guy from your hometown who only does nude portraits of women for the art. He looks like a cartoon that just got hit in the head with a frying pan. He was also in that movie Yesterday. Remember? It was basically about like, what if the Beatles never existed, but this guy remembers all their songs and starts singing them and convinces everyone that he wrote them, and it's also 2019. Ed is in such a weird place. He's trying to leave behind the singer-songwriter genre that made him who he is today and embrace the more modern pop hip-hop sound, but he's doing it at such a slow rate that by the time he fully commits himself to pop music, it's going to be irrelevant and outdated. That's why his central audience is 50-year-old women. He just doesn't have the originality that is pushing the pop and hip-hop genre right now, which is why I think he's kind of hesitant to fully commit to it, because he knows he doesn't have that originality. He's sort of like the Ubisoft of the music industry, always recycling old ideas, never fully committing to new ones, basically just playing it super safe. In today's video, we're going to talk about the central theme of this album, which is change, and the irony about how Ed is alluding to all these changes in his life, from his career to his relationship, but he never really gives any details about what these changes are. And he certainly doesn't give any details about how those changes are impacting him internally. So we kind of get this weird experience where we are starting at one place at the beginning of the album, and by the end of the album, we're still in that same place. Nothing has changed for us, the listener, and nothing has changed for Ed. So Ed has proven himself once again to be the master of mediocrity, the lord of lazy writing, and the sire of simps. That simp part we'll get to later. Okay, let's go through the tracks one by one and analyze each one of these 14 tracks as deep as we can. So let's just start at track 1. Okay, the first track, Tides. It starts off with this driving kick drum surrounded by electric guitars, and then there's an acoustic guitar in there and a piano. It really gives me worship music vibes. So not really off to a great start. I went to a Christian school when I was younger, and this is already giving me PTSD. The drums are going, everything is going constantly through the verses. It doesn't change at all until we get to the chorus where it just drops out, and Ed's sweet, supple voice whispers to us, "Time stands too still." I cannot wrap my head around this line. Time stands too still? Hey, little editor's note, the line is actually time stops too still. I guess he's just saying time is like stopping to a still, like a train or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's the line. This song is basically about his daughter. He paints this picture of having a really chaotic life. Things are moving really fast, But when he's home holding his daughter, time stands still and he gets like a moment to rest. Basically, his daughter is like his anchoring point. So when things are chaotic, he always has something to go back to, something to ground him in the present moment. And we'll see this more throughout the album, how he's using people or memories to sort of get him out of that chaotic, crazy mindset. Okay, track number 2 is called Shivers. This song is basically about a woman, presumably his wife. Maybe not though, I'm not really sure. Basically, Ed has a hard-on for this girl. He really fucking likes her. Every time she gets close to him, he starts shivering. Ed really wants you to know that she makes him shiver. He must have said shiver like 20 times during this song. Makes me shiver, honestly. He has no other metaphor. I feel like this was really a missed opportunity to pull in the listener to Ed's world, because shiver is a good example of like a sensory word that we all understand and can relate to, and something that we can feel, but it doesn't really work with Ed's writing here. It's sort of like Ed is just telling you that she makes him shiver, and you're like, okay, and that's it. That's the whole song, and you're left feeling like, okay, he likes her, I guess. Okay, track number 3, First Times. It's similar thematically to the first track in that he's like telling us about his chaotic life, and he's talking about these small moments that he uses as anchors to sort of get away from that crazy life. Except this time he's not focused on his daughter being that anchor, it's his wife who's that anchor. There's really nothing much to say about this song either. It sounds almost exactly like A-Team, to the point where I think that you could play both these songs simultaneously and you wouldn't even know that 2 songs were playing. Ed reminisces about some of his favorite moments with his wife, something that he's going to recycle later on in the album. One thing I will say about this song is that all the choruses are different, so I guess props to you, Ed, for not being lazy. I don't know. He does that in other songs too, where he'll like change up the words in the chorus, so they're all different. Okay, song number 4, Bad Habits. You probably heard this song. It was the first single to come off of this album. You might have seen the music video for it. If you haven't, I recommend you go watch it because it's kind of hilarious. Actually, maybe you shouldn't watch it. Maybe you should just spare yourself. Maybe it's better not knowing. The song itself sounds kind of happy and cheery and poppy, a little dancey, but the music video is the complete opposite. It's like creepy and edgy, but the type of edgy that like your youth pastor would be okay with. It sort of seems to me like this is Ed's power fantasy. He's flying around the city at night, using the force, I guess, to push people out of the streets. It's so strange to watch. I can't really explain why. It's probably the really shitty CGI that just makes these people in the street look so weird. I guess maybe it's like Uncanny Valley shit. I don't know. This song is about Ed's alcohol addiction. Apparently he had a substance abuse problem for a while. He doesn't name anything except alcohol. This song alludes to a lot of drugs being used, or a lot of drug like metaphors, like your eyes, your pupils dilating and stuff like that. But I don't have any reason to believe that Ed has ever done any drugs. All I can find is that he drinks a lot of alcohol. He's British, so that kind of makes sense. So that brings me to my theory that Ed is just sort of stealing themes and sounds from The Weeknd's After Hours. We can see this in the next song too, Overpass Graffiti. We start with these 80s style drums and this 80s style synth. It really reminded me of Blinding Lights the first time I heard it. I had to check and make sure that it wasn't like the same song. It's not really that similar, I'll give Ed that, but there's something about it made me immediately think of that song. In fact, Ed has gotten in trouble with this sort of thing before. There were 2 instances of accused plagiarism that I could find, and one of them ended in a lawsuit. This isn't even the worst part of the song. The worst part is probably the metaphor. In the chorus, he says, "I will love you for all it's worth. Will never fade like graffiti on the overpass." Fade like graffiti? Isn't graffiti famous for like not fading? This song is a breakup song about a girl who's not his wife, but someone that he broke up with a while ago, I guess. I don't know how long a while ago is, but this is a memory that Ed is sort of fixating on. It's something that he can't let go of for some reason. We don't get to know the reason why. We just know that he can't let go of it. When I first heard this song, I thought it was about his wife, and I thought that his substance abuse or his alcohol addiction or whatever the last song was about, I thought it had caused some rift between him and his wife, and I thought this was going to be the start of a theme of this like relationship struggle. You know, he's really famous, she's not. He's gone all the time, she's home all the time. But no, we don't get that. We don't get that at all. It's kind of weird to me that he wrote this song about this girl when he has a wife and a baby now. Like, why are you fixating on this breakup? What does this breakup have to do with anything? I mean, the central album theme is change, but what is this changing about you? Ed doesn't elaborate on that. I don't know. It would make more sense if maybe this person had like a big impact on Ed's life. Maybe like this person changed Ed's trajectory. Maybe Ed learned something about his personality or about how he acts in a relationship, or maybe like his coping skills or something. But no, we don't know anything about that. It's just a breakup that happened, and Ed is still sad about it. For some reason, I don't know why. I am going to light those candles back there. It's like super cold and rainy outside, so I just wanted to like have some ambiance. Also, do you like my Snorlax shrine? He's cute, isn't he? Okay, next track, track 6. The Joker and the Queen. I was actually kind of surprised about this song. It sounds kind of like, well, it's a piano-led ballad that sounds very loungy, sort of similar to La La Land. Ed calls himself the Joker and his wife is the Queen. At first, I thought this was gonna be like the Batman Joker, because in the music video for Bad Habits, he looks kind of like the Joker. He's got some weird makeup that makes him look like the Joker, but no, he's just talking about like a court jester or something like that. The song is also constructed as if they are playing a card game throughout it, which I really liked. I thought that was really cool. The chorus goes, "I know you could fall for 1,000 kings and hearts that would give you diamond rings. When I fold, you see the best in me, the Joker and the Queen." In the first verse, he also says, "I showed you my hand and you still let me win." Essentially, this song is about how his wife treats him when he's vulnerable. When he opens up, she doesn't shut him down, she doesn't shame him or anything, she accepts him. She has compassion, she has empathy, and Ed is recognizing that and he is thankful for it. All in all, I think this is a really sweet song. I definitely think it's the most creative on the album. It's certainly my favorite so far. In the 7th track, Leave Your Life, Ed expresses his travel anxieties. So he's a new parent, he's got a baby. Whenever he's away traveling, he thinks about, you know, what if something happened while I'm away? What if something bad or maybe good happened? Am I going to miss a moment? Remember in one of the other songs earlier, I think it was the second one, he talks about how important those small moments are to him, and he reminisces about his wife's moments. He also is trying to soak up those moments with his daughter, but his job obviously forces him to leave a lot and travel a lot. He's a busy man. He's famous after all. The first line he opens with, "If I forget to say goodbye before I catch the plane, would you know the way that I feel when I'm away?" I don't know, Ed. Isn't she like a year old? By the way, his daughter's name is Lyra Antarctica Seaborn Sheeran. That's her full name. And honestly, that's pretty amazing. She sounds like this fantasy pirate captain. When I first heard this song, I thought he was talking about his wife. It's kind of weird how well it fits, whether you think it's about his wife or his daughter. I don't know if they should necessarily be that easy to confuse. That seems weird to me. Of course, in verse 2, he calls her Lie, which is an abbreviation of his daughter's name, which leads me to believe that he probably thought people would mistake this for being about his wife. So he had to like put in his daughter's name just to be like, it's not about my wife, it's about my daughter. We're only halfway through the album. Usually at this part of the album, we see a shift in direction, either lyrically, thematically, or musically, usually a piece of all three. But here we don't get any shifts. We just continue on to the next track, track 8, which is called Collide. When I saw the title for this track, I thought, oh, this is where shit goes down. I was thinking like an asteroid hitting Earth, being like a metaphor for COVID or something. He's going to talk about how COVID like messed up his life, or maybe he's going to talk about this big like moment in his relationship where things just like bubbled up and exploded. Nope. This song is about his wife again. It's about how big of a boner he has. This is basically an exact repeat of First Times. He explores his favorite memories with her, says how great they are together, and that's it. That's the entire song. There's nothing else to say about it. Okay, track number 9. This song says nothing new. It literally talks about the same things he just talked about. How crazy, stressful his life is, how being with his wife gives him peace. He doesn't really talk about his daughter in this song. It's more set up like he and his wife are out dancing, which is kind of weird because in Bad Habits, we saw clubs and nightlife as sort of a bad thing. It was like a trigger for Ed to start numbing his pain or his fears. But in this instance, it's his wife who's there at the club with him. And that's the thing that's stopping him from thinking about his chaotic life or the chaotic world around him. Maybe because of his newfound security with his wife and his daughter, the club has transformed into a more positive, joyful place instead of a place that like detracts from his life. Or maybe he's using his wife as a replacement for the drugs so that he doesn't have to face the overwhelming existential dread of the outside world. It's sort of like me when I play video games. I don't think this song is actually that deep. I just wanted to explore that because I think there might be some subconscious messaging throughout these songs. I don't know, maybe not. I think it's probably just a song about how much he loves his wife, about how hard his dick is. Track 10 is called Stop the Rain. It's an interesting track because he finally stopped talking about his wife and his kid. This song is most likely about the lawsuit he had when he released Photograph. An artist named Matt Cardle had a song called Amazing that has a very similar chorus melody, and he sued Ed for plagiarism or copyright infringement or, I don't know, whatever, stealing his melody. In the first verse, Ed says the line, "Sometimes it can all get too much for me, and that's why the photograph gets burned." I listened to both songs and yeah, they are pretty similar. Ed settled the lawsuit for about 13.8 million pounds, which is around $20 million. He's got a lot of fucking money, I guess. Jesus. My doctor prescribed me Adderall and I have literally not stopped talking for 3 days. He continues in the chorus saying, "You can't stop the rain, no way," holding an umbrella when the gray clouds come over again, trying to find something real, but it's not the game they play. They, in this instance, is probably referring to the lawyers or the other artist or the other artist's fans, or maybe just like haters in general. Again, alluding to the change theme in the second pre-chorus, he says, "Don't let them tell you keep it all inside. I know the winds have got to change." Presumably he's saying if you just hold on, be patient, the rain will go away. That first part, "Don't let them tell you keep it all inside," in the first pre-chorus he says something like he can't cry, or they say don't cry. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up. I forget. Track 11 is called Love in Slow Motion. It's basically another song about Ed's chaotic life, how he appreciates those small moments when he's with his wife. It's really nothing new. I have nothing to say about it. Track 12 is called Visiting Hours. Now, this song is pretty interesting. Visiting Hours is about the death of Ed's friend, Michael Gudinski. Who died in his sleep in March of 2021. Michael was a record executive and a promoter in Australia. He worked a lot with Ed during his career. The song has a very country vibe to it. I think it's just the way that it's written. He keeps saying he wishes heaven had a visiting room so that he could go talk to Michael about all the stuff that Michael's missing in Ed's life. However, I can't really think of anything that would have changed from March of this year to the release of this album. Ed's daughter was born in August of 2020, so she was born before Michael died. I guess it's possible that they were just both busy and they just haven't seen each other. Maybe they were planning on seeing the baby later, but Michael died and they didn't get a chance to. I don't know. I can't think of anything else that would be like this big thing that Ed has to talk to Michael about. That is until we get to the second chorus, where we get our first glimpse into Ed's inside world. In this second chorus, he says, "Can we just talk about my worries until they disappear? I tell you that I'm scared of turning out a failure. You'd say, remember that the answer's in the love we create. So much has changed since you've been away." So Ed is worried about becoming a failure. In his mind, Michael is telling him, remember, the answer's in the love we create. I don't know what that means. The answer is in the love we create. He's either saying it doesn't matter whether you succeed or fail, because if you love yourself and surround yourself with people who love you, it doesn't matter what your status is. It doesn't matter if you're a great famous musician or not. You're still going to be loved. Or he's saying the music you make is like spreading love, it's connecting people, and that's the legacy you're leaving. And if he's spreading love around with his music, there's no possibility of him being a failure. Or he's saying that Ed's music inspires people, and that makes them love more. So if he's using love in his music, then he can't be a failure because that's the ultimate goal. At the end of the chorus, he says, so much has changed since you've been away. What's changed? What's changed, Ed? Literally nothing has changed. Every big life event that you've had has been before this album. He's not like bringing us along to what it felt like to be numbing himself with alcohol, to be a famous person who has responsibilities at home but isn't home all the time. He hasn't explored the relationship dynamic between he and his wife when he's gone and she's there taking care of the baby. He expresses some mild guilt, maybe, but ultimately, this song specifically, the only thing that he's feeling is fear. Okay, we gotta move on. I'm getting frustrated. Okay, song 13 is called Sandman. It's a lullaby to his daughter. It's literally about singing her to sleep, and she has dreams about Sandman. That's it. That's the whole song. Track 14, this is the last song. It's called Be Right Now. This is the culmination of all the themes in which Ed comes to the conclusion that the best thing to do in life is to slow down, take it all in, be present in the moment, be grounded, and I guess relax or something. The last words Ed leaves us with are, there's nothing but the space we're in, the hurry and noise shut out, just stay here and be right now. And that's the end. That's the end of the whole album. I agree. I think being present in the moment is a really good thing. I think we all need to be in the present moment. I think it's definitely something that I need to be reminded of every day in order to do it. I mean, I think that's a great takeaway. It still leaves a lot to be desired. I already know that being in the present moment is a good thing. I know this because I have anxiety, which takes me out of the present moment. And one of the best ways to deal with it is to ground yourself in like the physical feelings that you're feeling in your body right now. I want to hear about Ed's exploration of that. Does he also have anxiety that led him to learn how to be present in his body? Does he have a problem leaving his body? Does he have a disassociation problem? What's like the struggles that led him to this conclusion? I really don't know. The album's central theme, change, is never really addressed or examined, and the way Ed deals with change is to use other people to make him forget about the things that he's anxious about. He uses his wife, he uses his daughter, he uses alcohol, he uses the death of his friend to not deal with change but to avoid it. Maybe this album isn't really about change at all. Maybe it's about the fear of change, the resistance to change. It's so tempting to run away or shut down when things start to get overwhelming. That's a feeling that I'm personally very familiar with, especially after the quarantines and shutdowns of 2020. I feel like this entire year of 2021 has been this sort of like weird limbo space where I don't know what to do. Like a part of me has like refused to accept the new reality that we're in. And the other part of me is like ready to get on with it, and there's like this sort of tug of war inside of myself of resisting the change and accepting the change. He could have made an album about his anxieties, about COVID, about how his external environment was changing so rapidly and what that did to his internal environment. Ed could have touched on any of these topics. He could have contrasted this sort of chaotic outside world with his own famous life, and then maybe contrasted this sort of meditative style mindfulness practice with when he's with his wife and his family, how grounded he feels with them as like a reminder to do that when he's in the middle of this chaos. But he doesn't really do that. He never really explores his internal world. We're left in the dark about what Ed is feeling. What I see is an inability to come to terms with change. After Hours by The Weeknd was such a good album because it was so raw and vulnerable. The Weeknd takes us on a journey alongside his drug addictions. We see how that impacts his life. We see how he struggles through it. We see the impact of the other people in his life and how his decisions changed the world around him and how ultimately he overcomes these things to become a better person. We see his struggles, we feel his struggles, and we empathize with him in a way that's inspiring, that will hopefully like leave us with this urge to change something about our own lives and go after a better one. In Equals, there's really nothing to sympathize with. There's nothing to be inspired about. I feel like Ed really missed an opportunity here. There's so much depth that he could have explored that he just didn't. He needs to stop trying to emulate other people's sounds and find the sound that's true to him. I would absolutely love to hear a raw and vulnerable Ed Sheeran album. I think that would be really cool. I want to hear more about his relationship. I want to hear more about how fame has impacted his mental health. I want to know about his daughter and his fears about missing out on his daughter's life. I know there are a lot of Ed Sheeran fans out there, so if you are one of them and you watched my review / analysis / whatever this is, don't take this as me shitting on you. If you enjoyed this album or you enjoy Ed Sheeran, I do not want to take that away from you. That is not my goal at all. We all have guilty pleasure songs or artists that we listen to. I have a fucking Machine Gun Kelly song in my library that I unironically think is a banger. So I'm not the one to judge you for your music taste. I'm not going to give this album a score or anything. I don't believe in assigning a numerical value to a piece of art. I just don't think it matters. And I'm not trying to call anybody out, but I just think music can be so subjective. It's kind of ridiculous to try and rate it out of 10. Like, to me, music is like pizza. Even shitty music can still be good music. All that to say, these are my thoughts on Ed Sheeran's Equals. Except one more. I think he should have named it Delta because Delta is the math term for change. But I guess Equals is actually more appropriate because the place that we started equals the place that we ended up, hating Ed Sheeran. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, press that like button. That's right. Press it. Smash it, fuck it if you want, I don't care. Subscribe to me, comment, let me know what your thoughts on this album are. Did anything I say piss you off? Did you agree with anything I said? Did I miss something? Do you want me to do another album next? Or maybe do you want me to make a completely different type of video? I'm open to anything, so let me know what you thought. Let me know how I did. This is new for me. I would really appreciate your support. And I don't know how to end the video, so... Did you subscribe yet? I said, did you subscribe? Oh, you did? Okay, thanks. All right, see ya. Bye.